you did predict that within 30 days they would collapse. And you think that you were right?
Yes. But no one wants to argue with me on that because if it's an argument, you're not going to win. I think it's collapsing now. It is collapsing right in front of you.
I want to play something that you said on this show in February, and I'd like to get your I'd like to get your thoughts on it.
Can I get some gravy on these words I'm about to eat?
Yeah, number 11, please.
The Democrats need to play possum. This whole thing is collapsing. It doesn't need Elizabeth Warren and somebody screaming to pacify some progressive advocacy groups in Washington, which, by the way, I wish these people were just useless. They're actually worse than useless, that they're detrimental. And they never, ever learn to shut up. And so, Dan, this is what I believe. I believe that this administration, in less than 30 days, in the midst of a massive collapse, and particularly a collapse in public opinion.
Well, James Carville, what do you make of what James Carville said in February?
I'm a pretty smart guy in February. Okay, if you look at what's happening, you look at the current stuff that's coming in, the public has a revulsion against this. The Democrats have not lost an election. All right, well, you know how much we're going to win by in Virginia? Do you have any idea?
But,
did you bet your guess?
No, I don't.
It's going to be a lot. It's not going to be.
But you said that you thought that this administration was in the midst of a collapse.
I think it is. Yes, I do.
And you think that you were right?
Yes. I think they're somewhere about 37 or 40% approval. Their economic numbers are terrible, are just terrible. And I think we're running away with every election we've had. We're going to run away with Virginia. We're going to win New Jersey. We're starting to recruit every candidate that we want. And I think the last thing that we need is people in plus 24 Democratic districts that never have a chance to be the face of the party when we have a whole lot of people out there that are in swing districts, swing states, that can really, Spanberger and Cheryl come to mind is kind of my ideal for what a modern Democrat should be.
Right. But that's what you believe the Democratic Party needs. I mean, I pulled up the recent approval polling from the New York Times and Real Clear Politics, and the aggregation puts Trump's approval between 44 and 45.8, with 53 and 51.4 disapproval as of August the 6th. That's not a collapse. That's basically a little bit above where he was.
Well, first of all, elections that are being held in no way reflect that. I don't want to get into saying this poll, that poll, this aggregate poll, but I look at like the UMass Amherst poll. I look at Gallup. I look at people like that. I see something completely different. I'm very, very, very confident that this administration is going to be widely rejected in the elections coming up, and they're going to be particularly widely rejected in the elections in 2026. I haven't seen any election return. And by the way, the image of the Democratic Party, I don't even have a positive image of the Democratic Party because we lost. Who likes losing? Who wants to be for a pack of losers? And once you start winning, you turn that around. By the way, just one little thing while we're on here. It was reported that 2024, the fourth year of the Biden administration, had the lowest crime rate since 1960. Has anybody said that? Has anybody pointed it out that Trump's going to take over Washington, D.C. because it's inherently violent place and the crime is down 26% over the year? Is anybody saying that? Is anybody saying that there's not a single economic indicator where Democratic administrations have not literally crushed Republican administrations over any historical period of time you want to take? But no one wants to argue with me on that because if it's an argument, you're not going to win. But we need to tell people what's going on.
But you did predict that within 30 days they would collapse.
I think it's collapsing now. It was 30 days, 180 days. Okay, it is collapsing right in front of you. and just watch what's coming over the transom, watch election returns, watch town halls. Do you think this stuff in Nebraska, Iowa, or Wisconsin, this is not one-off stuff? There's
I'm not
anger around
particularly
this country.
swayed. I'm not swayed by the town halls. I got to tell you, I think that the notion that these are people who were once Trump voters who are now furious at him, maybe there's a handful of them, but these are mostly people who are just pissed off Democrats who are showing up to yell at their
That's what we said
legislators.
in 2010 about the Tea Party. All right. And if you look at the questions these people are asking, if we were manipulating it, no political consultant would tell them to ask these kind of questions. If we would say, what are you doing about rural hospitals? Or what are you doing about this or that? I watch these things very closely. I don't at all deny that there's not some manipulation there, but you can't look at these people and say there's not something real. And when that lady in Southeast Wisconsin said, "You're not who we are," that was a staggering moment. And by the way, if you get 700 people on a Tuesday night to show up at a town hall, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. I would certainly say some of it is probably organized and manipulated, but I think underneath is something there. And I do think that this administration, when I say collapsing, I mean it's politically collapsing. They ended up winning anything anywhere. It's over. We can't go without you. And I think the House Democrats, and this is going to shock a lot of people, I think they know exactly what they're doing and they know exactly what's going to happen. And I've never been a sick fan. I think Democrats make a lot of mistakes, but I think these guys know what's coming and they know how they're going to handle it. And Mike Johnson's going to have no other choice. He's going to have to go. And when he does, that's surrender.
That was James Carville in February, and James Carville today seems to be saying he still stands by that, right, James?
I do, and I also stand by the fact that the big beautiful bill is the most unpopular piece of domestic legislation, not just in this century, but in a long, long time. This is a massively unpopular by any measure you want, by polling, by energy, by reaction, by anything else. And understand, this is the signature item of this entire administration. And I think the Democrats are destined to do very well.